Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor, crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to Kachava.com and use code NEWS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
This is the Washington Times front page for the first day of April, Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. President Trump says the U.S. could end the Iran war in 2 to 3 weeks ahead of a primetime address on the conflict. Jeff Murdoch and Von Concan report the president said the war would end sooner if Iran came to the negotiating table. The White House announced Trump will address the nation on the war in a primetime speech Wednesday evening. It's not clear whether he'll announce any changes to the offensive against Iran, which entered its second month earlier this week. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran can still project power beyond its borders with drone and missile barrages, despite a month of consistent U.S. and Israeli attacks. A federal judge has halted President Trump's plans to build a ballroom on the White House's East Wing. Stephen Dinan reports District of Columbia Judge Richard Leon said the president acted rashly in moving ahead without Congress, who must authorize permission before continuing any work. The National Trust for Historic Preservation had filed a lawsuit saying Trump was erasing a part of history, breaking several preservation policies, and acting without approval from any outside authority. Leon acknowledged novel and weighty issues in the case and said halting a project already underway may be tricky, while putting his ruling on hold for 14 days to allow the government to appeal. The Supreme Court has ruled against a Colorado law that prohibited a Christian counselor from helping LGBTQ children who want to change their sexual orientation or gender identity. Alex Sawyer and Stephen Dinan report the 8-1 decision ruled that as long as it's just talking, the counselor has free speech rights that the state cannot take away. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing the majority opinion, said the state can regulate other types of conversion therapy, such as physical treatment, but Colorado's law went further by banning licensed therapists from certain lines of conversation, even at the patient's request. The court said that was unconstitutional viewpoint discrimination. Dual court rulings last week in California and New Mexico have given lawmakers hope for advancing long-stalled bills to protect children in the digital age. Lindsay McPherson reports Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn called the court rulings a watershed moment in the fight to hold tech companies accountable for putting profits ahead of children's safety. The Senate passed the Kids Online Safety Act in July 2024 on a 91-3 vote, but the legislation has stalled ever since despite multiple rewrites aimed at winning over its critics. It requires social media companies to protect children on their platforms through default safety and privacy settings, as well as enhanced parental controls. And finally, some hospice nurses have turned into social media stars as thousands follow them to learn what dying looks like. Juliette LaSala reports the nurses emphasize that death is not something to be feared and is not inherently painful. Comments on some of the social media posts include appreciation and gratitude for insight into the dying process. Others remark on their previous experiences with loved ones in hospice and how much hospice nurses provided support. Hospice care focuses on providing comfort and support to people with a life expectancy of 6 months or less. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience and their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's Libsyn, ads.com today.